Hey, it's Chris Bentley with Social 333. I'm the host, and today we have my guest, Joe Caldrone. Joe, how are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. Super excited to have you on. The reason why I met you on a listing appointment, and like your story knocks my story like completely out of the park.
Appreciate that.
Like it's just straight up hustle.
Mhm,
And I really wanted to have you on the show because a lot of people like in the audience are entrepreneurs, business owners, people like you and me, and
mhm.
they hear these stories and it's like, or maybe they're aspiring and they're just like, wow, like, if this guy can do it, then like I can do it,
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
and it's just like, it's just a really great story. So thank you for being on. Let's go ahead and just kind of tell people about, I know your company right now, Joe Dent, but
Mhm.
just tell people a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of go into your background.
My name's Joe. I'm in my 40s. I own Joe Dent Auto Hail Repair. I'm a sole owner, no business partners. God, I don't know where to start. I've owned a few different companies. One thing about being an entrepreneur and business owner is sometimes you have good years, sometimes you have bad. That's all right. Yeah.
Talk about, and I don't want to go like too far into like the
hmm
darkness, right? But like talk about, um, I know you ended up in jail in prison for like no, not prison, but ended up in jail,
I was
um,
young.
for a little bit, and then talk about from like there on because like that's really like the story.
Yeah, I mean, I have Tourette's and ADHD, so that's hindered me my whole life. Thank God, after puberty, my Tourette's kind of went away. I mean, I still have it, but I don't have the tics of it. So ADHD made it, even though I have a very high IQ and I could get straight A's when I did my work, it was just to get me to sit down and pay attention was almost impossible. So school was very hard for me. Um, I grew up with a mom that said, why don't you just get a good job with benefits and all that? And that just has never been me. I don't like being told what I'm going to make every day or that I don't have anywhere to go. I've always wanted something that does not have an income limit that I can go, that the harder I work, the more money I make. That's why all my employees are paid on percentages. So the more they perform, the more money they make, and they love it. I was in the car business for in the mid and late 2000s selling cars, and they wanted me to be management. And I was like, no. And, you just had to sit there and wait for business. And it drove me crazy. I'm like, I've got to find something else. So, mhm.
So I know that when we first met, you told me like some wild stories of like door knocking and like
Mhm.
like just different businesses that you've owned, and like I took a lot of like I saw a lot of like myself in you. I was like, okay, like I started a business when I didn't even graduate high school, and I started my own auto repair business, and then I graduated high school, and then that business failed. I started something else, starting so in between I had to get like good jobs, or I was just dead broke, or I had to like figure it out. Talk a little bit about just that journey like you had. Like, what did you end up like selling? I know you did some door knocking, like kind of not.
So my very first door knocking job, I was 17 years old, and I was selling subscriptions to the Kansas City Star newspaper in Kansas City, Missouri, door to door. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it then, but I was good at it. My grandfather was an engineer for Cadillac, and he always said that boy is going to be amazing at sales because not only am I good at talking to people, but I can close. Everyone thinks sales is, just being able to talk to people. It's not. It's being
Right.
able to actually get them to do the deal. So I've always been a good closer, which is why I've never had a problem getting sales jobs. But I've always wanted to do my own thing. Um, I did work for a guy in 2010, 2011, selling advertising and all that. And then he lost a bunch of money in the market and it didn't end up paying me for a while. And I didn't have enough money in savings and I lost everything. And I swore from that day forward, I will never put my life and my income in anyone else's hands but my own. So what I did is I took some of his ideas and just made them way better. All the Department of Motor Vehicles in the state of Missouri are privately owned. So what I did is in 2011, I went in and I said, I've got an idea. I'd like to pay and put flat screen TVs in your DMVs and run ads while people sit there for 2 hours. And I will split it 50-50, all profit with you, each of the owners. And I ended up having 23 DMVs across the state of Missouri. And I did great. I built it from nothing with no money. I had them put the money up front for the equipment, and then we took it out of the money when we got done. And I had a friend who was in the auto hail industry, and he was like, "You'd be perfect at this, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Dents in cars? You know, why would I want to fix dents in cars, And it's like, "Trust me, come check it out." So I did. I went. He was working in Minneapolis at the time at a storm. Went up there and I saw it, and I was like, "Wow, you're making what?" And I was like, "I'm in." I saw the potential, the growth. I like the fact that, if I chase storms or whatever, there's no income limit. So I went back and I sold my part of the business to the DMV owners and said, "I'm out. Good luck." And I started as a salesman. I did it for 4 years. I saved up about 100 grand, and then I put all that into creating my own company because I didn't want any loans, no business partners, and not gonna lie, I was down to credit cards and kind of freaking out, and so and then hailstorm hit, and business just took off, and I wanted to pride myself in quality work, good work, be honest with people, even if you lose their business. My grandpa always taught me, you could say the truth 100 times and lie once, and you'll be branded as a liar. So I've always been a very honest person like that.
Nice. So talk about kind of the dips, right? Like we all
Hmm.
go through, like we
Yeah.
talked about some,
Mm.
like, and I've had multiple, like I declared bankruptcy. I've been broke. I've been so broke that I like nobody paid attention to me. I mean, I've been so down. I moved back home with my mom. Like, I mean, I've done like just about. I think I've done just about everything. I'm sure there's like worse, right?
As an entrepreneur, you're going to run into that.
Right.
You
So like,
know,
tell some of those stories.
So one thing I learned, and everything I know, is basically trial and error. I mean, I did not go to business school. I did 3 semesters, took over my mom's cleaning company, and then the economy of '03 killed it. Um, but one thing I've learned is build a relationship with either a bank or a financial institution that understands entrepreneurs have some years that are great and some years that are bad. Last year I took a risk, and we had a lot of work here, and I decided, you know what, I'm not going to chase storms this year at all. I'm going to work at home. Well, that bit me, and I only did about half the business as I usually do. So because I have a great relationship with a small bank and they know that usually we do pretty well, I was able to go get a pretty good sized line of credit. And that's what saved me. Otherwise, I would have been filing bankruptcy.
That's good. I definitely recommend that. For me, like I just
Hmm.
knew, like I do a lot of networking. I
Hmm.
kind of like tailed off from doing that now. But I used to do a lot of networking, and like I would just run into people that just believed in me, and
Hmm.
I'd be like, "Hey, like I'm really struggling right now," and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, like here's like $3,000, or here's
Hmm.
like a couple of thousand, like just don't worry about it." And I always just turned it down every time.
There you go.
Yeah, I was always like, "You know what? Like, I'd love to take this money. Like, I am broke." But
If you're an entrepreneur, you'll be there.
but, with that, like, I know you, and we have a great relationship. Can you refer me to somebody that's looking to buy a house? Or refer me to somebody that's looking to refinance? Or,
Hmm.
I was doing loans. Or can you help me, find me something to do? Um, it'd be no different from, you being like, "Hey, like, here's a couple $1,000. I know you're short." And be like, "Hey, like, let me just wash your car or something." Or like,
Hmm.
"Let me clean your house," or something like for it. Or I'll owe it to you doing something, right? That's kind of like my approach to it.
Okay.
Um, you talked a lot about like traveling, which I think
Yes.
is like really cool. And something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs like dream about
Hmm.
is like setting up shops like different places. I thought about it, like it's still in my mind to like go down to Miami and set up a brokerage in Miami. One day maybe I'll do it. I don't know, but like it's just kind of like one of those dreams as an entrepreneur, be like, okay, my business is set up here. I can go in a different city where nobody knows me and just like kill it.
Hmm.
Like talk about that a little bit.
So that's one thing I love about what I do is, I chase these storms, different places, and it is very exciting. Not only that, I stay there for months and I get to experience this city. So, for instance, College Station in Bryan, Texas, just got hit with hail really bad Friday night. I drove out there Sunday. drove around, looked at the damage, and by Monday morning, I signed a lease for a building, wrote a $27,000 check, and started driving back. And now we're getting everything set up, trailers, equipment, and all that. And we're going to be heading down there. We're still going to run our shop here from the hail damage here from a few weeks ago, but there's not as much here work-wise. So the goal is to go where you can generate the most profit the fastest. Like I could stay here and, do about a third the amount of cars when I can go there and do 3 times the amount of cars in the same amount of time. So I'm trying to maximize my profits as much as possible. Yes, it does take a lot of money, and I could set up there and not do very many cars and lose tens and tens of thousands of dollars. And that's happened once before. That's it. Thank God. But generally we do very well when we do that. But all my employees are excited. They've never been to College Station or nothing like that, so they're really excited to go out there. Told them how nice the people are. We've worked Boston, Minneapolis, Atlanta, Phoenix. I've been all over the country.
Wow.
And so I build all these relationships and meet all these people because I'm there for months, and I make so many friends that I still talk to all over the country. I mean, I've set up at 30 different cities in the past 10 years.
Wow.
So it's great because the more people especially as an entrepreneur, the more access you have to different things.
Mhm.
So,
Talk about a little bit about your mental health. I know for myself, like, it was really difficult. Like, you set up a company and then you think you got a great idea and like you literally just sell like one thing and then you have like amazing amount of debt,
mhm.
and then all of a sudden like it collapses and you're like, crap, man. Like,
Yep.
now I got to start all over again. And like, I know you've started many, many, many companies just
Mhm.
like me. Like, talk about your mental health and like your resilience.
Oh boy. It's stressful. I was in the truck today arguing with the customer that didn't like what they wanted us to do, blah blah. And it was the husband. He didn't know anything, and it's stressful. I mean, if you want to own your own business and be an entrepreneur, you're going to work long hours. You're going to be stressed. It's going to happen. So you do need to find ways to relax. Because sometimes I'll just go out to my truck and play music for 10, 15 minutes, take a little break, and do some breathing, whatever, and then go back to work. Yeah, owning your own business is not stressful. It
Mm.
doesn't matter what you do. There's days that I'm like, God, I just want to be a salesman again. It was so much easier, not near as much money, but no stress. And but I still, at the end of the day, I still love what I do. I still love running my company. I wouldn't change it for the world. But there are very, very stressful times. As far as mental health, yes, there's ups and downs, and if you're not a strong-willed person that can handle those ups and downs, then maybe you should stay an employee.
I agree. And it's also, I kind of want to like, kind of piggyback on that. It's okay if like you start a company and then it just fails and then you have to get a job.
Yeah,
I've had to
I've
do
done
that a
that.
couple of times.
Me
I
too.
just, I never, I've been, I have a really tough time of like kind of cutting it off. So I'll be in a company, I'll start making money at whatever, W-2 job I got. And then I'll be like, well, I still got my side hustle thing, but like I got my job and like, like I'm still making money kind of deal, still
Mhm.
floating. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, well, wait a second. Like, I'm not here for this.
Right.
Like, I'm here for myself. So like, I need to like really just like kind of cut this off and like work more. And then I usually end up just getting fired because like I'm
Well,
just so busy with my, selling houses that I don't have time to like
mhm.
look at spreadsheets or whatever it is that they have me doing.
Well, for instance, when 2000, the end of 2004, so I dropped out of school. My mom got really sick from all the chemicals from cleaning houses, and she had, 80, $90,000 a year worth of clients, which,
Oh,
2002, one, that's pretty good money. And they all knew me, so I took it over, lost it. Well, a year and a half later, I decided to start it back up or try to, because I didn't really know anything else back then. And, I waited tables at a restaurant in the evening and went out and did flyers and went to apartment association meetings and generated business. And then once I had enough business to pay all my bills and a little extra, then I quit the waiting job, and so sometimes you just have to do that to get it started slow. Sometimes it's better that way. If you're going to start a business and expect to just become rich right away, that's not going to happen.
yeah. And I've also realized that if you start a business, it's a lot more than what you actually think it's going to be.
Always,
Yeah.
always. It's more
Monetarily,
expensive. Yep.
time,
hmm
whatever it is.
You're going to learn a lot really fast, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes really fast, and that's okay. That's how you learn. That's how I've learned. I don't have a mentor. My dad was a dock loader. My mom owned a small business, but I've had to learn a lot of this just as trial and error on my own. And I think it's more fun that way, honestly. I mean,
Yeah, it's just I think there's like a lot of podcasts out there, and I'll watch some
mhm,
stuff and a lot of motivational stuff, and I come across a lot that's like, and it's very true, which is
mhm.
like your friends are gonna make fun of you, your family's probably gonna disown you, people are gonna laugh, people think that you're a joke,
Yep.
people think that your idea is horrible, and they're just gonna clown on you, and
And if
that
that's gonna bother you, then you're not, yeah,
yeah, I
then yeah.
mean, you have to build that chip on
Mhm.
your shoulder that, hey, look, like, okay, well, I'll prove you wrong.
Do you remember the house you first got for me?
Mhm.
Or you sold me from my
Right.
house?
Uh-huh.
When I bought that house in 2018, all my friends were like, "Why did you buy a house way the heck up here?" Blah, blah. I said, "Watch." I go, "Just watch." That 7-bedroom house, all just for me and my dog, remember?
Yeah.
And I sold it 4 years later for twice what I paid for it. Didn't have to pay any capital gains tax, walked away and bought a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
I mean, now who's laughing?
Mhm.
So,
That's just
yeah.
how it is, and, like, I think a lot of people just don't like, they don't have the stomach
Mhm.
to be like, "Okay, like, I'm gonna be broke, I'm gonna be made fun of, and chances are, like, this is gonna fail,
It could. Yeah.
and
Try something else.
let's just go at it."
Yep. A
And
lot of really rich people have failed, lost everything, and gotten it back up.
mhm.
I mean, I've done it a few times.
Let's talk about some of the dangers that you've kind of experienced. I know that I've seen a lot in sales and just kind of the stuff that I've done, especially early in my career when I first started.
Mhm.
And back then, you could do real estate and you could do mortgages at the same time. And I saw some like pretty wild stuff. I mean, this is like before the collapse of the financial in 2008.
Mhm.
So I saw people like I don't know what get too in depth, but they were just doing some crazy stuff. And then with that and that amount of money that comes, especially if you're a younger person,
Mhm.
like you just end up doing some stuff that like you probably shouldn't be doing.
Mhm.
And I think uh, everybody probably experienced it at some point. And it's hard not to because you get caught up in thinking that the money's never going to run out. Like it's just
Mhm.
pouring in. And you're like, okay, cool. Like I did the vacation with the girlfriend. Okay, cool. Like I'm moving in with her. Okay, I got the new house. I got the 8 suits. I got the like this. I got that. And you're like, before you know it, you're like I don't know what what else there is to get. And then before you know, you're surrounding yourself with people that probably like you shouldn't be surrounding yourself with, or people that are just like you, and it's
Mhm.
just like, and you're like, wow, like this person's like really doing it. Look what they're doing. Well, I guess I'll do it too. Before you know
No,
it.
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, like I've experienced that. What have you kind of seen, like either personally or not personally? Like, what have you seen in terms of?
So, a couple things on that. One, you need to live your lifestyle as if you're as like your worst year in business. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, what is the least amount you'll probably make in a year? Not your best. Whatever your least is how you need to live every year, just to make sure that you don't overextend yourself. Because I've watched a lot of people in my industry lose everything because they thought that they were going to make, like you just said, all that money every year. Then they have a bad year or two and they lose everything. So you got to plan for that. One thing my grandmother taught me when I was young, and she was actually very successful, and she was a realtor too. And she said, economies go up and down. You just have to adapt. For instance, in the early 2000s, they had the '03 crash. I remember, my friends in the collection agencies were making 6 figures in 2003. Everyone else was broke, but they were making big money. Whenever the economy's bad with us, we'll even offer people a little cash back. And we actually do more business doing that when people are hurting than we do normally.
Right.
So you have to adapt with that. Does that kind of answer the question? Yeah.
Yeah. Um. I've also on like the other side of it. I know that like you could just get wrapped up too much in
Hmm.
like just doing the extracurricular stuff. And then that's what I like first time I started selling real estate here. Well, actually it was on the East Coast and it was like 2003 or so. When I first started my career and like money was even before then, I was trying to get my license, but money was just pouring in.
Hmm.
And I don't know if a lot of the audience knows, but like it was multiple offers all the time.
Hmm. I remember that.
People were just going to the office. Like I remember I was going to Coldwell Banker School. I probably shouldn't have dropped the name, but whatever. Like I was going to their school to get their license, and I would run into agents like walking in the door, and they're like, "Oh, I got to go write like 3 offers. None of them are gonna hit. And they're all low, but I got
Hmm.
to do my job. So like here I go." And it was like raining money. I mean,
Hmm.
it was just disgusting, and it's like but as you go in your career, I think you learn like that exactly what you're,
Hmm.
which is like you need to like kind of pull back the reins a little bit.
Got to be able to change. You got to be adaptable.
Let's talk about. I know you talked about a little bit about Lambo Club. Do you want to go into that a little bit? I know
Sure.
you own a Lambo.
Yep. I love it. It's I didn't think I'd still like it as much as I do after 3 years of having it, but every day I look at it, it puts a smile. I mean, I'm a big kid, you know. I mean, I
Right.
like my toys, and it's just it puts a big smile on my face. And I've been blessed. I made a lot of good friends owning that car that also share the same interests. And because I travel so much and I know so many people everywhere, they've asked me to become on the board and start helping set up like out of town events with all these people I know and these other clubs like in Austin and Houston and Phoenix and California and all that. So we're really excited to grow the Lamborghini Club of Dallas and have big events where people can bring their kids. And because I mean, I was that kid that had the Lamborghini Ferrari poster on the wall and never ever thought I'd ever own one. When I see kids just light up when they see them, it just really warms my heart. It really does.
I'm the same way. Like I'm a big little kid.
There
So
you
like
go.
I got into a Lamborghini and I was just like, oh, like this is
Hmm.
the coolest moment ever. Um, I honestly think they should do that. Like dealerships, just let people like kind of sit in it. But
Yeah.
I get the idea. Like you know what, random
Tell you what,
people.
the probably most fun day of my life was last year when I raced at Circuit of the Americas in Austin. Of course, I was racing $4 million hypercars that made me look like I was driving a Pinto. I was sliding around turns trying to keep up with them. But man, it was, and I had my daughter there. I took her out of school that day. And
Cool.
I'm just like, felt very blessed. But I've also worked, I mean, being an entrepreneur and a business owner, there's days I work, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week for months. I mean, I got to get it when it's there.
Hmm.
So,
I'm the same way. So from the end of March, usually April 1st. Before April 1st, I usually go on vacation, and then
hmm.
April 1st until probably about December, January. December is usually one of my biggest months. I'm working.
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
just like, and then the summertime, it's like you probably won't even see me out doing anything. Like I'll just DoorDash because I'll be at my computer working, like
There you
writing
go.
offers. It's just kind of like how it is.
Yeah, I make 90% of my income from March 1st to October 1st.
Wow.
And then I kind of shut down and travel and enjoy life. And, I'm looking at other options. I'm thinking about starting a commercial window washing company and just things I can do that are easy that I can just facilitate while I'm doing my hail stuff too.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And so just looking at different avenues. I'm buying Section 8 properties in like Kansas City, Missouri, Oklahoma City. Because, of course, here in Texas, we don't have those cheaper
Hmm.
houses that we can do that. But I really want to get into the bigger buildings. So I'm buying the smaller ones now just to get started. And then here in about 4 or 5 years, when I've got, 30, 40 of them, I'm going to put them all, refi them all, and then buy some commercial buildings. That's my end game
Mm.
is commercial real estate.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
mhm.
Well, cool. How can they find you? How can anybody find you? They want something
easy.
from you.
Google. I mean, it's just Google Joe Dent. We do everything for our customers. Our customers are very happy. Never had one bad review for our repairs or service. So most people, the reason why we have door knockers is a lot of people don't know that they just take it to a body shop. They don't know that that's not, they have people like us in the back doing the work for like 70% of the money. And then they're just pocketing the rest and doing not very good jobs. So that's why we have door knockers to go out and educate people more than anything, just to say, look, this is what the right way to do it is. And, we pay their deductibles. They pay nothing out of pocket. We do free pickup and delivery. It does not raise your insurance rates because it's not their fault. It's a comprehensive claim. We detail the car when we're done, meet with the insurance, file the claim. We do everything. All we ask is leave us a good review and maybe tell your friends and family about us.
Nice.
So it doesn't cost them anything.
Nice.
So, and it also brings the equity back in their car, because a lot of people just think, oh, it's just some dents in my car. Well, to the auto industry, those are damaged panels.
Mm.
So when you go trade your car in, they're going to knock $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 off your trade in.
Mm.
So you might as well, you pay for insurance premiums every month. I mean, that's kind of what you're paying for.
Right.
So,
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Have
All
a good
right.
one.
You too.